again everybody, and welcome to another of Mr. M's guides. This one is my guide to foraging, and this is my woodland kitchen. And today we're going to go off and have a wander around the woods and the lanes and see what we can find. It's a great time of year for foraging in the springtime. I'm going to pretend that I'm a Neolithic hunter-gatherer, and then we're going to bring all of the stuff back here and prepare a small forager's feast. Before we go off and find some food, I was just looking around this woodland, which looks absolutely glorious, and the bluebells are starting to come out, and it put me in mind of the topic that I was doing with my class, Hello Mountain Ash, just before Christmas actually, and we were doing a rainforest topic, and part of that was we talked about the structure of the forest, and you can see it here as well. So you've got your kind of ground flora, and this is the flowering plants. So these are, in this wood, it's pretty much all bluebells. There are a few other bits and pieces. And then you get to the understory level, and in this woodland it's hazels, but there are some young hawthorn trees, and there's a little bit of holly at this level up here. And then when you go up to the top, to the canopy, then you're getting the big trees, which are mostly oak trees in this woodland. So this would be called an oak woodland. And it's quite interesting because it's really clear to see the different times that things flower at this time of year in the springtime. So the spring flowers get going first because they need to do their growing before the canopy closes above them. And there's a word for all of the spring flowers, these flowers that flower at this time of year, and they're called vernals. So if you've seen my spring flower guide, those are all vernals. And then when you get to the understory, a similar thing is happening here. So here's this hazel tree, and it's coming into leaf now, and you can see it also knows that if it doesn't do its growing now and it's photosynthesizing, when the big trees have closed the canopy and there'll be much less sunlight coming down, it will be too late. So they get going at this time of year as well. But yeah, we'll go and look for some food. Right, the first one that we've come to is this one here, and appropriately enough, it's growing on a wall because this one is often called wall pennywort. It has another name, navelwort. It's called pennywort because it looks a little bit like a penny, and it's called navelwort because it looks a little bit like a belly button, which is the correct word for a belly button, the navel. And you can eat this one, and you can eat the stem. I have to say, for me personally, I always think this one just tastes like you're eating a plant. Kind of just tastes green, but some people really like it. Anyway, we'll go and find something a bit tastier. The next one that I've found is actually one that I probably enjoy eating the most of all the things that we're going to find today, and that is this little white flower here, which has got little sort of pinkish stripes on the inside of the petal. I don't know if you can see that. And this one's called wood sorrel, and it's an ancient woodland indicator, and there's some slightly big ones around the corner here, but the leaf comes in three parts, like a clover. And there's a word for that. That's called trifoliate. So like a triangle has three sides, leaves that are in three parts are called trifoliate. And that's really very tasty. And you can eat the flowers and you can eat the stems as well. And it's got quite a sour flavour to it, but I think it tastes like strawberries, a little bit like strawberries. So that's really delicious. But it's just a little pre-lunch nibble. Well, here we are. We've found the star of the show. This is what I've been looking for, and this one is wild garlic, and it's just about to come into flower. There's one that's just starting now. This sort of spike of white flowers. In amongst, we've got the celandine and the dog's mercury. But this one, you'll probably smell this one before you get to it, because it's a member of the onion family, and it does smell quite oniony, and it's really delicious, and you can eat it raw, and you can chop it up and cook with it. You can put it in soups, put it in omelettes, whatever. And we're going to be making a pesto with it, so I'm just going to grab a whole load of that, and you just pick it from near the bottom, and I'll get a big handful or two of that. Well, a top tip when you're out foraging is to avoid things that are either beside a busy road, this one isn't a busy road, or that are down at ground level because of dogs that might be walking by. So give everything a good wash before you cook with it. But here's a couple of things that I want to use today. One is from the Dandelion here, and this one has got these leaves here. It's from a French word, Dandelion, which means tooth of lion, because if you look at the profile of the leaf there, it's kind of got these sharp, jagged teeth on it. And that one's quite good. You can chuck that into salads, and you can chuck that into you know, sandwiches, and use it like spinach a little bit. And then beside it, here, it's amazing how quickly this stuff has grown. Literally, this wasn't here a few days ago. And this is garlic mustard. And this one is in the mustard family, and it's got quite a nice little bunch of small white flowers there. And if you're not sure if you've got the right one, all you have to do is you just scrunch it up. And you'll soon know, because it has quite a pungent garlicky smell. And again, that's good just for chucking into salads. I'm just going to take a few leaves off this one. I don't want much of it, but I'm going to add that to the pesto as well, just for a little extra flavour. So we're preparing a pesto now. We've got everything. Over here, I've just I did pick some nettles as well, so I'm just preparing a little nettle tea. Nettles are great. They're full of iron. They're really good for you, and you can use them in soups and all sorts of things. But I'm just going to have a little cup of tea while we're making this. So we've got dandelions. We've got some garlic mustard, and mostly we've got wild garlic. And I've got some pine nuts, which I'm going to toast slightly. I've got a bit of lemon, bit of black pepper, bit of parmesan, and some olive oil. I'm going to start off by chopping this stuff up really finely. A lot of people use a whizzer, and that's probably going to make a better pesto than this, but we're going to call this a rough pesto, and we'll see how we get on. Right, so I've chopped this up. I'm going to mash it up a bit in a moment, and I've got the pine nuts here, and I'm just sort of going to let them brown off a little bit without burning, and then I'm going to just grate up some parmesan as well. Those are toasting nicely, don't want them to burn. Nearly ready. Right, that looks about right, so we're done with that now. Those are quite a nice brown colour, and I'm just going to put them into the saucepan. So if you had a pestle and mortar, this would be a good time. I don't have a pestle and mortar, but I have got a rolling pin, so I'm going to smash that stuff up a bit. It's definitely going to be a rough pesto. I've got that smashed up, and I'm going to add this the wild garlic and the other stuff. I meant to say earlier, wild garlic has another name as well. It's also called ramsons, if you find that lying around. So I'll chuck in I'll chuck in the parmesan. Try and get that all in there. Well, this is already tasting quite nice, and you could eat it like this, but we're going to add a couple more bits and pieces. So we'll put in some black pepper. I like black pepper. And we're going to put in a squeeze of lemon. And then we're just going to put in a little bit of olive oil, and that's really up to you how much olive oil you put in. The more you put in, the wetter it will be. I think I need a bit more. Smelling good. Tea. Last little thing now, I'm just going to give it a bit of a mash up with this rolling pin, and then it's good to go. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was my guide to foraging, and I'm going to pack away my kitchen now, and I'm going to head home, and I'm going to feed my family some wild garlic pesto for lunch. Thanks for watching, and follow me at busking_teacher, or subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.